Hi everybody, I am Julia Anchorhaven and this is a disclosure diary episode. I record this series just to kind of video log what's going on with me personally and things that I may have noticed in our community or just things that have come forward like memories or activations or whatever. And one of the themes that I've been kind of picking up on for the last few weeks is about managing. It's about how we all manage and kind of coping mechanisms that we have in place. And I've realised over the year my coping mechanisms have changed. The people that I connect in with on a regular basis has changed. So my support network has changed over the last year. And I do like to have people that I talk to, monthly, weekly, daily. And they're my support system and I support them. And we've got my evening connection groups at Anchorhaven Monday, Wednesday, Saturday evenings, which are for my Substack paid subscribers, just £6 a month. But we get together and we witness each other. So as a priestess, one of our main roles is witnessing, is seeing you, hearing you, and kind of, just bearing witness to your life, to your existence, and just being here to support people, showing up. Yeah, so lately I've been thinking about how we show up for each other. So I've been like a regular on the Typical Skeptic podcast for quite a while now. We show up every day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. We show up in the chat, we show up as guests or whatever, we show up as a host to support each other, and that becomes part of our coping mechanism, our daily routine of fitting in with like-minded people, being seen, being heard, being witnessed, right? And that's really important for me. It was having that support network of having the Typical Skeptic podcast and Rob Khalil, the host. Having that there for me over the last 2 years has been really, really important to me because it's been a place where I felt like I belong. And for some people, they just don't have that. And it did take me a long time to find a place where I felt comfortable to just be me and I can talk if I want to or not. And, or I can just high five everybody if I want to do that, and that's fine. Because there's no expectations in that kind of community. And then I've been thinking about my evening groups that I have, and we've got people that come and people that go, and then we've got our core little tribe people, my core Anchorhaven people that turn up every time to support each other. And we've been through a lot this year, from surgeries, breakups, financial hardships. We've been through a lot together this year, and personally I've been on this galactic journey of recovering my memories, having abilities activate, and when that happens it's scary at first because you don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm going through one of those stages again where I think I'm being attacked, but really it's like a natural ability starting to reactivate, and it's like shocking me. So it's really crazy. And then I've had a few friends who've gone quiet. I've had friends who've been like overactive, and everybody kind of shows up and copes in different ways, and they all have different coping mechanisms. So I just wanted to come on and talk about that a little bit, because I made a statement to one of my best friends recently and said, if I'm messaging, then I'm managing. But if I ever stop messaging, then something is seriously wrong. And then you need to take steps, right? To remote view into me or to contact somebody or whatever. But if I'm messaging, then I'm managing. So for me, I might not always be talking verbally, because I can be quite a quiet person verbally, or I can be over energized verbally, and talk too much, it seems. Which is why we have a podcast where we do diaries. But yeah, if I ever stop messaging, then something's not quite right. But then in the past, I've also had relationships where you feel like you're the one doing all the work. You're the one doing all the messaging. So I might have stopped messaging to see if that person reached out to me, if they truly cared about me and what I was going through. And there have been occasions when the friendship just ended at that point, and it really surprised me. And because sometimes we never truly know what somebody's going through. So at this point of the year, it's the 2nd of December 2025, and our community is going through another shock. We've had James Rink pass away, and even though we knew that he was targeted, we knew that he was unwell, people around him knew the situation, but it's still a huge shock to the situation when that prominent figure passes away. And it makes you kind of reflect on everything, absolutely everything. So the question is, are you coping? How are you managing? What are your coping mechanisms? Who is around you? And if you don't have anybody around you, then find someone. Join a group. Yeah, there's support groups out there. Come on a podcast, in the chat and things like that. So it's important that we know how relevant that we are, and that we take steps to support ourselves and others when we can. Yeah, and it's not always about financial support. Sometimes it's just about showing up. And Breakaway Ray does his daily tarot on his channel, Star Card Podcast. And one of the things he says to everybody in the chat is, thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up today. Right? And that's really got me thinking, yeah, so how are we showing up in the world? How are we showing up for ourselves, for our family, our friends, our community? So, you know, think about that. So I'm going online into one of my webinars very shortly to teach about chakra energetics, chakra wellness empowerments. And we were looking at the root, the sacral and the solar today. That's the general theme of what we're doing. So the root chakra is safety, stability, and vitality. And if you're not feeling those, then you're not grounded. Your root chakra is out of balance and you're not safe. Yeah, it's as simple as that. The sacral chakra is creativity, emotions, sensuality, and passion. Now, if you're not feeling those, then your sacral is out of balance, okay? And you need to do something. Solar plexus is personal power, willpower, boundaries. Yeah, so these are really simple things, but what we do in the chakra energetics class is we look at all the ways our body is telling us that something could be over energized or under energized. Something is out of balance. So the body is showing up for you every day. It's doing the best that it can with what you give it, and it's giving you lots of signs all the time. But are we showing up? Are we listening to our body? So like the root chakra, when it's out of balance, you're going to have anxiety, instability, overwhelm. You could be feeling spaced out, disassociated from your body, from everything around you. Could just be feeling unsupported. Yeah, you might get that lower back pain, and you might be having a lot of fatigue, and that's your root chakra is out of balance. Okay, because when it is in balance, you should be feeling grounded, strong. You should be feeling safe, present in the body. You should be feeling quite resilient. Yeah, like you've got life force. So if you're not feeling like that, then something is not quite right, and we kind of need to go back to the earth. We need to go back to Mother Earth and say, I'm not supported. Support me. Yeah, so it's got me thinking about our support system, our support network. And you know, we don't all have therapists, we don't all have family that's supporting us. Sometimes it's just us in a journal or whatever, but it's got me thinking about how I use crystals for support. I use crystals for knowledge and healing and things like that. So for me, crystals is a big part of my support system. But also so is verbalizing things. Yeah, being able to have a platform to talk about these things is quite important for me. So if I stop messaging, I'm not managing. Yeah, if I stop podcasting, I am not managing, right? And that's the kind of message for me personally. And I'm always creating. So I'm always creating. I'm always full of ideas. So my sacral chakra, which is creativity, it's generally in balance because I've got lots of ideas, but emotionally I have a disconnect there. So there's something not quite right with my emotions because I don't feel the same way other people seem to feel. I can't express deep emotions or deep relationship expression like other people. So that's quite interesting because the sacral chakra, when it's out of balance, under or over energized, you might be feeling quite rigid, like you don't want to change your plans, you just want to keep everything the same, you know. You might be feeling very depressed, very low energy. You might be feeling numb emotionally and just not being able to identify, but like I do sometimes, or just disconnected from everyone and everything around you. You might have no ideas, or you might be stuck, you can't fix things, you can't problem solve. Yeah. You might have a really low libido, you might have no passionate life force, and therefore no desire to connect with anyone or anything in the world around you. Probably not even food, right? Probably thinking I just don't need a sensual experience because it's disconnected. But when the sacral is in balance, we start to move into feeling accepted, because the sacral is all about connection. It's all about connecting with the world around you and with people or places or things, associating and feeling like you're part of it. Yeah. So you might be feeling inspired when your sacral's in balance, creative, passionate, very sensual. You might, love smells and touch and things like that. You might be feeling very adaptable, very fluid, happy to make changes now. And then you might have that sexual energy, that passion, that desire to connect with somebody or to connect with something, an idea, an inspiration. Yeah, so it's really interesting how just these lower chakras change how we show up in the world. They change how we connect with others, yeah, and kind of how we put ourselves out there as well, because the solar plexus, well, that's out of balance, under, or over energized. You're going to feel very insecure. Really low confidence, less motivation. You might be procrastinating. That's one of my things. Unable to focus. You might have quite blocks and limitations. There might be lows in your life, or you might be just kind of pushing things in the way. You might be hyperactive as well, because you might have too much of that golden sun energy. So yeah, I mean, the solar plexus, we think of it as the personal powerhouse. So when you're in balance, you should be full of self-trust. Yeah, you should feel confident, have that sense of knowing who you are, knowing that you're powerful, you've got willpower, you're determined, you've got discipline, and endurance. Yeah, you should be having that ability to make it through any task and put it into execution, so to plan and to make it happen, be successful. So these three lower chakras really affect how we show up in the world. And we're going to be talking about this on the webinar tonight that I'm doing with a few people. But it's made me think about how I present myself. And I've got a conference coming up soon, and it's kind of putting myself out there for the first time in the UK in the disclosure community, whereas most of the time I present myself in the mind, body, spirit community, in the spiritual community, as a Reiki master or a violet flame priestess or a spiritual teacher or whatever. And I show up and I do lectures, I do healing and, retail and lots of things. So this is the first time thinking, okay, well, who am I? If I take away the spirituality, who am I? What's left there? And there's all these things that I've discovered this year where I'm trying to find my sense of self that makes sense to those experiences that I'm beginning to remember, or information that's come in and I'm thinking, is this really me? Is this really mine? And it's like I'm trying to categorize, where do I actually fit in here? Yeah, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about coping, and I cope with a lot of meditation. I do a lot of meditation now, which is something that I couldn't do last year as much because I was still in the workforce, and now I'm focusing mainly on my spiritual business and on my podcasting. I've got that flexibility, that fluidity with my time, and plus I work on American and UK time, so my day is very long. So I actually take time in the middle of the day to meditate or sleep, rest, and plan and things like that. So yeah, so I show up in many different ways. My coping mechanisms, probably some of them are not healthy. I don't have any really bad habits, but I do have a Pepsi Max habit, which I still think is some really old galactic contract, which is a bit weird. But yeah, so this is a little bit rambling, but it's made me think about what I said to my friend the other day, is if I'm messaging, then I'm managing. Because there's been some times recently where I've not been managing well, and I do identify as a targeted individual, as an empowered person, and I do know that there's outside influence impacting my life. So when I change my routine at short notice, I get targeted. When I do things that are out of character, I get targeted. I get targeted during the night. My sleep patterns get disrupted. I've experienced direct energy weapons because I left my local area. When I was in Sheffield at the weekend, I've been targeted, and portals have been opened on my back. Like 5 portals have been opened on my back, and loads of sadness and grief and awful energies were getting dumped on me through this portal. So that took me a few days to really shift. And it wasn't until I was watching the Typical Skeptic podcast and Misha Johnston was on, and I asked for some light language healing, a light language message, and that really shoved me through. I've been doing some exercises to, you know, collapse and dissolve out any portals, protect my energy field, cut cords and things like that. But one of the abilities that I do seem to have is timeline weaving, and Ivan Teller calls it reality jumping. So I'm all over the place. I'm scattered. So I'm meant to be an anchor node for this timeline, and an anchor for the violet flame in this timeline, but at the moment I'm scattered, and I think some of that is because of the outside targeting that comes in. So different versions of me are activated on all these other timelines and stuff, so it's really weird. So how are you managing? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, do you have a support network? Do you have a group, a tribe, a friend? Do you have somebody there who knows you? Yeah, who witnesses you? Because one of the things I noticed earlier in the year was I was told that I had like a partner in the programs, in the super soldier programs, and it made me realize that I'd always thought, is there somebody that knows me? Is there somebody that is like the mirror image of me? Am I missing somebody here? Am I a twin? And my twin died or something, is what I used to think. And then I realized that I had been put into a program where I was kind of trained and partnered with somebody, so we'd spent so much time together, our energy connection was together, but then we were torn apart from each other. And some people call that trauma twin, some people call that dyad connections, made in a per kind of connection. And then when I realized this year that yes, there is somebody, that totally changed how I felt. And even though we are still very disconnected, we're not, you know, we're not close at all, but just knowing that there's somebody else there that has experienced what I've experienced has brought me great comfort. It really has. And so I've kind of realized that I'm really not alone. Not that we are ever alone, because we're always surrounded by guides, guardians, spirits and things like that. We always are, and especially ETs. And so anyone that's been on a session with me is always saying, oh my God, you got this behind you and whatever. But I generally don't see them. I may feel them. Like yesterday I felt a spirit come in overwhelmingly strongly that I started to do some automatic writing. And the day before I was doing crystal oversoul connections, which is something that I will be teaching in 2026. Working with the fantastic mandalas by Michael Eastwood and connecting in to the oversoul activation. So this is advanced crystal connection work, which I love. And when I was connecting to that crystal on Sunday, Archangel Michael took an opportunity to bring in a download when I was in that open state. So I had like this angel crystal download come in. It was just so took my breath away. Yeah, it was amazing. So just know that you are seen, you are heard. Please put comments in. I will always try and respond to comments when I can. If you go to my Substack, anchorhaven.substack.com, and you subscribe as a free member, from over Christmas period, I will be doing some free subscriptions so that you can access my evening groups over Christmas if you want to. So you don't have to be alone on the Monday, Wednesday, Saturdays if that's something that you're experiencing right now. So on my groups, we can talk about anything and everything. There's absolutely nothing that anybody can tell me that is weirder than the stuff that I'm going through right now. That shocks me every day. So when people are just awakening to their journey and they tell me what's going on with them, I'm usually quite relieved that I know that I've been through it, that I can tell them that they're not mad, that that makes sense, and that's because of this, this and this, and I can generally do that starseed support. But the things that I've been experiencing lately have been a little bit batshit crazy. That's the only way I can describe it. So yeah, but I'm starting to feel a bit more like myself. I'm starting to get my focus back. And for me as a targeted individual, I know, because I'm in the TIRAP program, the Targeted Individual Research Advanced Project, which is one of the very oldest targeting programs, apparently, according to the ACIO. I know that if I keep to a set routine, that my targeting is minimized. If I do things a certain way, the targeting is minimized. If I don't leave my local area, the targeting is minimized, and things like that. But as I travel around the country doing conferences and fairs and things like that, I've come to expect a level of targeting, and I know that I can transmute, I can reflect, I can query voices, who does this belong to, and things like that. So I've become quite efficient over the last 2 years in sussing out what's really me, what's spirit, and what's external forces. Yeah, so you can always head to my website, anchorhaven.co.uk/debrief. There's a little bit of information on there about people who are just starting to discover that they are targeted, or that they're in the super soldier programs or the military abduction programs. There's information you can download, and it links to videos. I did a great video with Miles Johnston, which is on my channel and his Bases Project channel, about being empowered. Yeah, so even using the word targeting, targeted individual, is a low vibrational word, so we try not to do that when we can. And so I will be attending in 10 days' time the International Disclosure Conference with Miles Johnston from basestv.org. It is in Wiltshire, which is in the south of England, near Glastonbury, Stonehenge, Avebury Standing Stones, and Highclere Castle. So if you're in that neck of the woods, please do come to the conference. It's £50 a day, or £150 for the 3-day conference, which is incredible value because there's amazing speakers from UK, USA, and Europe. I will be supporting the event. I'm doing graphic design and things like that. I'm helping with the crew. I might get to talk if there's an opportunity for a super soldier panel or whatever, so I'm looking forward to that, although it's still a bit difficult to talk about what's going on with me. So this is my way of expressing kind of the process that I go through when I receive new information. I query it a lot, and I will be doing a session with Sean Bond soon, so I can ask loads of questions, feel into what's going on with him, get some activations, get some energy clearing, maybe even connected to some altars. We will see, because there's a lot of altars that have come forward now. So it's the process of, okay, how do I know what's me? Is that still me? And how can I utilize that and bring that information in and things like that? So yeah, so the super soldier stuff is very strange, to be honest, but I'm putting it all out there. I'm speaking my truth the best way I can, and I hope you guys appreciate that. And if this is not for you, then you don't need to watch the video. I'm not looking for comments or feedback or anything like that, but I would like to know that you guys are okay, that you're coping, and if you need support, please do reach out, and I can try and signpost you or support you as best I can. If you would like to book in for a private session with me, please visit anchorhaven.co.uk. We can do distance healing sessions, but the most affordable way to be supported is to join my Substack. It's just £6 a month, which is like $8. You get access to up like 10 groups a month. You can come and go as much as you like, and that just helps me cover the basics, like my internet, my Zoom fees and stuff like that. So this year, 2025, has been a complete and utter loss in all areas, and I really do need to change how I work for 2026 to make sure I'm actually making money to live on, because this has been a hell of a year, hasn't it? It's been a heck of a year, guys. I hope the next couple of weeks are going to be fine for everybody. We've had some really sad news lately, and I know a lot of my friends knew James Rink very well, and some of them are devastated and really need support. So please do just check on your friends at the moment. If they're not messaging, it could be that they're not managing. Okay, so check on your friends if you can. Thank you for watching my video.